Hey there, everybody. My name is Desiree Stafford. I am super excited to be here with you today. I'm sharing with you a case study by one of my most amazing clients, one of my favorite clients, and her name is Angie Ford. So we're going to talk about the success she's been able to accomplish for herself and exactly how she did that so that you can have some insight if you're looking to figure out how you can take your life and your business to the next level. So Angie, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you. It's lovely to be here.
It's a pleasure to be here with you as well. So talk to us about what you do.
So I'm a mindset trainer and a coach, and I work with people to help them move through unconscious blocks in their performance, so to help them go to their next level. And it's usually when they've gotten to a point where they've tried a lot of other things and they don't really understand why they can't make that next step happen. They know they really want to, and they know they have the ability to either do it or to learn to do it, but there's something else that's happening that they want to break through. So that's what I do. I work with leaders, I work with artists, so actors and musicians and performers, and I work with athletes as well.
Yep. So your work is really powerful. And it's sort of similar to the work that you and I do together. So you've already been successful in your business, right? So what inspired you to reach out for support from me to help you take things to the next level?
Well, you ended up in my inbox, okay. I think, which is crazy, through LinkedIn, because I'm actually not very much on social media, LinkedIn included. You know that from our work, like I'm not an online sort of coach. I don't do any of the online stuff yet. I mean, I might, but I've been doing it for a decade and don't. A lot of the stuff is live and or comes from live seminars, like I meet people face to face. So when you ended up in my inbox, something that you'd written really resonated with me, and it was just really clear. And it's so funny because I was thinking about it even when I read it. On the day I read it, I was like, I have seen that written so many times in various ways, but something else is like pulling me to see who this woman is. I was like, huh. And so, yeah, just I've just followed, I went down the Desiree rabbit hole, you know, I clicked, and then I watched the masterclass, and then, and I was like, I'm in. Like, I need to talk to you and know you because this is really new, but I can't feel anything that doesn't resonate here. And I think the thing for me that I was seeking, well, I work for myself and I work a lot by myself as well. And I think that's a common experience for coaches. So I'm starting to understand how critically important it is to have strong mentors and people around you so that you're not working in isolation over an extended period of time, because that itself can be a problem. And I also am not interested in picking the wrong mentors, because that could be even worse. So yeah, so I went down the Desiree rabbit hole and I was like, I would like to be supported by this woman here. She seems wonderful. She's got her shit together.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, first of all. And you mentioned so many good points. First of all, the isolation, right? Like, not a good thing. We really do, especially you and I have very similar personalities. We've talked about that before. And we can tend to be the Lone Ranger. We can tend to be the type of person who's like, I can figure this out on my own. I can do it all. And it's not that you can't. You absolutely can, but it's a lot more fun, faster and easier if you have support. And so you recognize that within yourself. And I think it's a big deal, because it takes a lot sometimes for people like us to recognize that and to be open to receiving support. But you also mentioned a really important point, is that you're looking for a specific person. And when you find that person, you know, right? Like, that's the thing that matters. I'm sure your clients feel the same way about you as well. So that's pretty awesome. All right. So talk to us about what your results have been so far.
I think, I mean, financially, the results have been fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of talking about specific details in public, so I'll keep the numbers private, but the goals you set and that you talk about, we have hit. And it's really, not the goals that you set, but the goals you mentioned clients set in their work, we have also hit. I think something that was also a really great achievement, which has surprised me, was that I don't feel like I hit it really fast and out of the gate, like I heard a lot of clients had done with you in the past. And I'm really proud of that, because this was one of the things that came up really early. I was like, does there need more time? I need more time to work through this. And my question, I'm unsure if, am I delaying? Am I resisting? Or am I actually just needing more time, like really genuinely? And you were like, well, let's trust that. And that the space allowed me to really put these pieces in, like for myself, in a way that worked for me. And I could see, you talk about this when you talk about goal setting, like I could see that when I stretched, I worked through the resistance that came up, and then I stretched again and I worked through that resistance. And over the time I've taken, which I think is almost a year now between from when we started to now.
Really?
Yes, well, I think it's about October, so it's like 9 months or something. We did like an initial block, and now we're doing a second block. And I think it's been really important to have the space to do that work, and it's been a really good combination. So in terms of answering your question, giving myself permission to do it my way, in a way that works for me, that in itself is a desire, a way of operating that I wish to bring to my business in general. And it was trusting that it didn't have to look like I thought it needed to look. I could, and I think the key thing was I knew that I could check with you, I could check myself with you, like, am I procrastinating? Am I resisting? I don't think I am, and you would always just, I call it poking. You like poke something, you poke there, and then we like get to the core of it. Or I'm like, oh, I'm just focusing on the wrong thing. And it just resolves, and I can see my own patterns. And that's really helpful because of that. I mean, I do this for a lot of other people, but I can't see myself in the same way. And I can't see where I'm holding me back. I think I can feel where I'm free and working, but I can't necessarily see when I'm about to hit a resistance, particularly if it's unconscious. So it's really great to have that container and person around me to help me when it comes up, to come back to the track, but to come back on track, having worked through it and genuinely be done, to not, at least with that one thing that came up, to not be like, oh, good, I'll just force my way back on track. I've got this. It's hard to describe with words, but I think you get what I mean. I hope people get what I mean.
I think so, because I'm glad that you mentioned the fact that this is our second time working together, right? So there was a space in between, and you did phenomenally well the first time, and you wanted some space, and now we're working together again. And I think why that matters is because there are some people who, if they don't knock it out of the park, if you will, although you did really well, they think that there's something wrong. And we really worked on that in terms of you trusting yourself and trusting your own journey. And I think that's important, that we stay in our own lane. We focus on what's working for us and what actually matters for us. Because many of the clients I work with, while they desire to make more money, and they do, there's this, they want more in terms of, they want to free themselves, right? They want to give themselves permission to be who they want to be, to run their business the way they want to run it. And that sometimes takes some time, right? To unlearn all of the conditioning that tells you that you have to do it like everyone else. And that tells you that you have to hit these certain numbers, or you have to do all of these things that we then get trapped by. And so what you were able to do is give yourself permission to just be you, right? And that to me is what's so beautiful about it. Like, you tell me, like, what about that process really lit you up, or what you enjoyed most about that process?
Well, so first of all, there's a third thing that I would celebrate from it, and that is that voice that I'm finding, because I'm having conversations and setting boundaries in ways I never have in the past, and have always wanted to, and feeling confident and safe to do it, because I think I've wanted to but haven't felt safe. It's been too worrying, and I've just have held back instead. And I think, if I'm really honest, in some specific areas of life, I've held back for so long that I haven't actually realized I'm doing it, and now I just do it as a default, and that's a soul killing space. But in terms of the process, I think one of the big things was your energy. I feel like the work you have obviously done with yourself is so consistently through the work that it creates a permission to step into that in me in my own way. And that is something you can't fake. that can't be faked. And I think the other thing was being able to ask my questions. So, because I think sometimes people might find that quite intimidating, but you also hold a space where you welcome all sorts of questions, and you allow, you allow doubt, you allow worries, you allow resistance, you allow pain. So it's a combination that I find very powerful, that I've been seeking, because I want a really strong mentor who can be there with all my questions and worries and doubts. That's what I think is a magic combination. That's what I seek to give my clients as well. But I can only do it if I'm doing my work. So I need someone to support me to do that.
Yeah. And you are such a powerful person and mentor, right? And so sometimes it can feel challenging to find your own mentor who can hold that space for you, right? At least that was my experience. And so I am very pleased that you have been able to really enjoy the process and allow yourself to blossom in the way that I want my clients to. Do you know what I mean? Like where you feel, I had one client who once said to me that I'm this combination of masculine and feminine, probably on the masculine, right? Because I am very, I hold high standards for my clients, right? Like I see your power and I speak to your power. And my whole desire is to watch you rise. And it's been such I can't even express in words to watch how you have allowed yourself to rise in terms of your own voice, in terms of how you show up with your clients, just how you're getting to live more authentically, right? So, for me, while I love to see you experience the results that you desire, it gives me so much pleasure also to witness it. Do you know what I mean? Like it just feels like a great relationship where we're all expanding in the process. So extra that I wanted to throw there because I love it.
Very healthy. It's very healthy.
We talked about celebrating, and we talked about being vocal about the things that are important to you, right? Like that's a part of our work as well. So what would you say? I mean, we've talked about the questions, we've talked about the space holding and the energy. Is there anything else that you would say that has been helpful for you to allow yourself to expand in the container?
Yeah, I would say your recordings as well. Like I have spent a lot of time sitting with your trainings, but also the ones you post each day, week. I'm not sure your routine, but it seems like about 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. Sometimes it feels like every day, and that's fine by me. But yeah, I spend time with those recordings almost every day. There's a touch point, and that just helps create repetition in this specific space. So yeah, it's a way, I mean, I call it a recording, but it's a way of being with a message and creating a reflection space for myself to have those like pennies drop in me. It's like, it's the thing that it brings out in me in a way that's in the right energy. It's not, because the messages, like you say, you can actually go out and find them and read them anywhere. But the way you're presenting them and your understanding is all through that. And that is the thing that wakes up a deeper understanding in me. So sitting with that has been really, really helpful. I think also hearing these videos that I'm doing now with you, like hearing other people and their journeys has been super helpful, as well as being able to ask you questions. And yeah, and I think a decision I made early when I decided to do this is I'm going to show up. So whether I will go to a cafe each morning and usually study, do the Desiree study as well as other work things. And I made a decision that whether I feel like doing it or not, whatever mood I wake up in, I'm going to go there and show up and do it, because it always makes a difference. And I don't need to do copious amounts. It might just be a touch point, but it's a reminder of what I'm committed to. And what I'm committed to is really my voice, what matters to me, and the things behind it. So showing up for that allows me to do the work in that way, which is really great.
I love it. One other thing I want to touch on in terms of your results is that you mentioned that you don't do anything online, right? So all of the clients that you're tracking are all offline, but that's been pretty explosive, right? In terms of the clients that you've been attracting. Do you want to talk about that? Like, not necessarily your lead gen methods or anything like that, unless you want to share that. But can you talk to us about how much of a different experience it is? Because I know that there's more ease that you've been experiencing. Do you want to share anything about that?
Yeah, I think in terms of, so in terms of being offline, what do I want to share there that could be really helpful? I think,
Don't mind Lily. My dog in the background.
I have one major marketing strategy that's always been my marketing strategy. Actually two, sorry. One is do the work myself, and the other is do good work. That's my two main marketing strategies, because if I'm doing it, I'll be coming in from a very different place of compassion and understanding and really getting, like I won't be trying to preach or please when I'm really doing the work myself, because I'll get that's not what it's about. And then the other side is do good work, because it's what I want to do first of all. I mean, the money is a result of doing good work, and we need money to live, and I want to live, well, and add a lot of value to people's lives. But when you do good work, you help people really help themselves to get the results they want in the arenas that are important for them. A lot of them are in business leadership, so it's about living in alignment with their values and not compromising, on belief systems that don't work for them or old ways of thinking, and helping them stand in that voice. For performers, it's a similar thing. It's more of a creative expression though, and finding who they want to be. And in sports, it's a really similar thing. It's just about focus and helping them, remove the noise so they can really do the thing that they love. And that is in turn a gift to so many other people. And so the point I'm saying though is, in terms of being offline, when you do that, the people around them look at them and go, what are you having for breakfast? What is going on? Like, what are you doing? And like I was thinking about this, that's actually how Facebook is designed anyway. You have someone who's a community around them, or people find each other in communities. It's like a mirror of how our mind works anyway. So it's a very organic way. It just happens in the physical community space. When someone is getting the results for themselves, people are like, what are you doing? And then they will start referring. So it's a very strong referral approach. Mm-hmm. And when you're doing good work, it also gives me more confidence to go to people and say, hey, I don't know if you have this in your program, but I do this. Would you be interested to chat more about it? And I like to tap people on the shoulder as well. I've tapped a few clients on the shoulder, like, hello, you're a business leader. Do you have a mindset coach? So here's what I do, and I love it. And I like what you do. Have you ever worked with someone like me, or would you like to explore that? And then we'll have a cup of coffee. I picture a mug as my main marketing tool. And then that will start from there. And then you have one more person who has people around them who go, what are you having for breakfast? So there's a natural process. And I think the work that we did helped me to really just trust that, because I think I haven't realized I've had an unconscious question of, should I be online? A lot of coaches are online, should I be online? And it's not wrong to have that question, but you need to answer it so you don't sit with this question while you're trying to do good work. Just do it, or do it later, but decide and move on and get stuck into what I want to be doing. That's where the power is.
Yep. So, okay. So I'm just thinking about this, because what you just said is really important. People do have the question, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And quite frankly, my experience has been that the strategy doesn't really matter. It's what, number one, you feel happiest doing. Yeah. But it's always the energy behind it, right? Because you literally doubled your revenue since we started working together. And you're doing the same strategies you were doing before, right? And you're not working any harder. So that's the thing that people really should take home from this message. It is a strategy. Like, if you prefer to do online, which you love, and you've been having such amazing you've been having amazing success at that, that's the thing you continue to do. You can add online if you choose, right? And for those people who are online right now and wondering, should they be offline, you can if you want, but just rely on the strategy that feels the most fun to you. Like that's the one that's going to bring you the most, not only success, but enjoyment, which I think is real success anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I'm glad you touched on that. I'm glad that you touched on that. And
yeah, it's so important. It's like I've heard you say that in videos with other people so many times, but it is the number one thing that will change your business, is to change your own energy, to change your focus. Like it will change the way. I just wrote an email to an inquiry, and I looked at what I read and I was like, a year ago, this would be worded very differently. It was really clear about about what I do and what I don't do, and what they can do next if they want to continue or not. And previously I would have even sent it, how I felt afterwards. I would have sent it and maybe gone, please, I hope we can work together. And I realized like that's actually like, it's really well intended, because you know I want to do this work, but it's so great when you get to drive. There's a thing you say that I love. It's like to run your business like it's your fucking business. I love it. It's like, oh yeah. And I feel as well like I really knew this as a child. I think a lot of the clients I work with have this sense as well. This is a thing I really knew innately as a child, and even in through my teenage years and things, there's something I could really sense. And maybe even in the last sort of 10 to 20 years, I've noticed it sort of slowly just went out of alignment for whatever reason. There's probably lots of different complex reasons for me, family, different things happening. But I've always had a sense that it's still there. That's the thing I want to be driving with. And I can feel when I'm not in alignment, and I can sense I'm not right. And I know it's not how I want to operate from, and being able to come back to that and be reminded of how powerful simply doing that is. Like it has so many moments throughout any one day which are just so much better moments. Like things don't bother you anymore. Don't take things as personally. I have so many. One thing you said, which I'm like, yes, that's what happens. That's the magic of being in the right energy. To help people trust it more, maybe, is that when you're in the right energy, you get different ideas, you get different things you want to do come to you, and you have a different level of confidence in backing it because you're in the energy with it. And that's where there's a cumulative building effect, when you can really hold and stay in that energy. And even hold feels like the wrong word, because it's like a home place. It's not something you have to hold on to. There is a place of ease here. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing that really excites me, because I believe in that. I love that. I used to be an athlete, and I lived that for a decade through sport. Like ease is where the best results happen. And it's very counterintuitive to what we're messaged with around us. So you do have to work very hard to focus, which is why I'm going to shut that out, work with Desiree, and just get back in my energy.
One of the things that you mentioned that I really am glad that you brought up is alignment. I am so passionate about helping people get back into alignment with their truth, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's where all the magic is happening. And that's part of the energy stuff that we're talking about, right? Like it's when you give yourself permission to be who you really know yourself to be, to speak your truth, right? To own your voice, to own your ideas and your vision. That is when you have all of the power, right? And not only that, but you just pride, confidence, happiness, fulfillment, like all of the things, freedom, all of the feelings that we desire to feel are an outgrowth of us choosing to be in alignment with our truth. Like that, I am so lit up on fire about helping people reconnect to themselves. And from our experience of working together, it's not about me telling you what to do or what I think or what to do. It's what do you want? What matters to you, right? Like how can I help you get to what you want, rather than this is how it needs to be done? Because that's not true. Right? You already know the answers, and my job is to pull that wisdom out of you. Right? So,
Really got good. And I think something else to add to that wonderful list you had is that it helps you care more because you have more capacity to do it. It's safer, and it's not coming from an I'm caring in order to make something happen. It's not coming from a place of worry or fear. And so I think for people who really genuinely love other people and feel strongly affected by what will they think of me, like it actually helps you. There's something I say, like people say, how to care less what other people think. I always say how to care less what other people think without caring less for people because you really care and genuinely love people. It's not about that shutting down any part of you. As this power rises, that part actually rises even more strongly. And clearly you help other people care for themselves better. There's a better dynamic in that space. It's really interesting. And I think that's so important because at the beginning, that was something that I genuinely worried might be compromised. And I think it's because of other trainings that I've experienced where it's very sort of that toxic positivity sort of space. It's very like, you have to do it this way or you're not succeeding in life. And there's a lot of really good stuff in there, but there's always been something missing. And I think it's that, I don't know, just the energetics of it hasn't been totally right for whatever reason. And we know that, our body senses that. Yeah.
I think part of that, because I'm familiar with what you're talking about to a certain degree, and I think part of that is your freedom to choose, your autonomy was absent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the big thing. I think people can give us the most amazing ideas, but if they don't balance out or harmonize with our truth, then there becomes an issue, whether that's resistance or whatever the case may be, where it's like, I want to latch onto this concept or this idea, but it doesn't mesh with who I know myself to be. And I think what we're all seeking is the freedom of self-expression. It's the freedom of owning our ideas and bringing them to the table and figuring out a way for it all to work together so that we can get the results that we desire without having to abandon who we know ourselves to be. One of the things I also want to talk or speak about was something that you mentioned about the caring piece. You talk about this a lot because it's my belief that as we rise, our people rise. So as we take better care of ourselves, we also empower other people to take better care of themselves. And so they get to rise in our presence. And so that's what allows us to give well, it's not what allows us to give ourselves permission to be true to ourselves. But we understand that when we are true to ourselves, then we create space for the other people around us to be true to themselves as well. So I think that's really important. I'm glad you brought that point up.
Yeah, so, I think a great way to understand it is to look at the opposite. When we don't take care of ourselves and we overcare.
Yes.
Does it work? No.
Not work, but it's a misunderstanding, right?
Yeah.
If we see people in their power, then we don't need to care for them in that way. Not that we don't care, but we don't try to take responsibility for people when we see them in their power. That's really, that's what we're talking about here. Right? Yeah. And that's what I mean by rising. It's about us empowering ourselves and being in our power. And when we do that, then the people around us are also inspired and they have the space to be also in their own power. So I think it's a win-win for everybody involved. So the last question I want to ask is, or second to last question I want to ask is, what would have stopped you? Like, we've had a great experience working together, but was there anything that would have stopped you from moving forward with working with me? Like, was there anything that maybe a past experience that you've had, you don't have to go into specific details, but was there anything that might have stopped you from hiring me?
Anything that might have stopped me?
Or getting support?
Yeah. Honestly, no. I can think of a couple of like niggles, which are like, and then I was like, back to them. And then they were like, okay. And if anything, those niggles were like, this is probably the most I've ever paid for one-on-one coaching. And so that was the first sort of like, just check. And the other thing was, are you going to show up and do this? Like, just to decide within myself, I want this change. I can sense what it is, and I know I'm committed to getting there. And when I say that, I really am quite okay with it being very messy and emotional and like whatever that process is. But I want to step into that arena now. I want to crack the code on that thing. So am I willing to step in to this next level? Because I could sense it was about more than just the money, either the money I paid you or the money I'm now able to receive as a result of what I'm doing with people. I knew it was about something more than that for me. And I was like, oh, I get a bit emotional saying it, but it's like, are you ready for that now? Because that's the voice you want. So I'm like, yep, I'm ready. Bring it.
Yeah.
Bring it. I'm so done. I'm so done. So I think the answer is no. I think just a couple of questions like that, but I've been, and this is maybe something important to remember for myself and also other clients. I think in retrospect, I've been waiting for someone like you. And that's why it went so fast, because it was almost like, there she is. She's on point. Like a lot of people have sort of been a bit on point, and then there's a bit of superficial stuff, and you can tell that I haven't quite got something yet. Then you're like, that's not where I want to be. It's not wrong. It's just not the right space for me. But I was like, she's hitting every mark, and she's I don't think there's any direction or like a head or anything, but she's deeper in this than me. I want someone who has been beyond what I have been to be able to help me move through. Just like you play tennis with people who are better than you, you'll get better at tennis. It's just a natural thing, and in a way that's supportive and works for me. That there's a lot of things that went right. And so I think another thing worth saying is I didn't have like lots of money sitting there ready to go when we started. I didn't feel like, oh, this is good, this is where I'll use a little tiny bit of the massive savings I have. I didn't have that, but I knew it was so important that I was like, this is where I trust I'm going to get what I need to. I just know it will come back if I'm willing to step into the arena.
Yeah.
And it absolutely has. So I think taking the time to decide for myself that I'm doing this, and I think I sent you a photo as well. I stick things above my toilet roll. And so I stuck the little, like, I'm all in blurb. It's like, I'm all in. I'm gonna open up, I'm going to work with Desiree, I'm going to commit. And I'm like, yes. And every day I go to the toilet and I'm like, yes, I'm committed. And it's just the constant, because I want to put it there in case there's any old niggle that I can't see yet that wants to pull me back. I'm like, I'm not going back. It's not the voice I want. I want to bring the best of me forward and find a new part to keep it stronger.
I love what you just said. When you said you want to bring the best of you forward, because to be honest, that's what this work really is about. Like, this is about you showing up for you, right? Like giving yourself permission to be who you know yourself to already be, right? Like that authentic, real version of you. And that to me personally is worth way more than the money that you made, right? Like, you've made a lot of money, which is great. But for every client that I work with, I am really committed to clients like you. Clients who not only want to make more financially, but they want to expand personally. Like they are wanting to give themselves something that they haven't been able to. They have the ability to do it, and they know that they have the ability, but they don't know how to get their foot off the brake, if you will, right? And so it's that desire, because that's what you said about it's not being about the money was really important, because it isn't, right? It's not about what you invest today. It's about the life that you're going to give yourself permission to live from here on out, right? And like that to me is the biggest benefit, and even testimonial that you can give me towards my work, because that's the stuff that really lights me up more than anything else. The money is great, but the money is easy, right? Money comes and goes, but it's what you're able to experience in your life right now because of who you've allowed yourself to be, that part of you that was already there, but that you're giving permission to really shine. That to me is worth everything, So thank you for that. Thank you.
Yo, you're welcome. Yeah. I think it's so important, because you'll have a sense if this is right for for you. You will know. And I've heard people say it's not about the money in so many different contexts. And I've even heard it when I haven't had a lot of money. And it can be hard to hear because you're like, well, that's easy to say when you have money. And you're right, it is easy to say, but it's not the point, because the thing that will generate the money for you is that internal peace. And that is where we want to focus the work, which is why it's not about the money, because it's not about focusing there. It's focusing that money is a result of the energetics and the shifts.
And I will add to that, one of the reasons I teach what I teach and the way that I coach is because I did things in the exact opposite way. Like in the beginning, I thought it was about the money, and I focused on the money and I made the money. You can do that. People can do that. I want to be clear that there are multiple ways to make good money, right? But I was not fulfilled. I was not happy. I always had this sense of anxiety. I kept feeling like there was something missing. I kept feeling like I wasn't enough. And so having the money was just like, it was heartbreaking, because I had achieved the financial results, but I still felt this void inside. And I was like, this is not what I want, right? And so I then reversed it. And I was like, wait, let me fill the void first. And as I learned how to fill the void, that's when not only did the money come fast and furiously, but it was more enjoyable, right? Because I already felt good. And so that's what I help you guys with. Like, that's what I help you with. That's what I help my other clients with. It's really this connection with yourself, right? Like coming back to feeling like you're home with yourself, right? Feeling that you are in alignment with your truth. And then from there, then you get to enjoy the money, right?
Yeah.
But in my opinion, without both, then the money kind of feels empty, right? And so you're also getting to experience that you have both, right? You have the you that you've always wanted to be, that you've always known yourself to be, giving that money the permission to shine, and then also the money. So it's, to me, it's like the total package. How does it feel to you?
It feels wonderful. And I think even just sitting here, something that comes up as you're saying that is, I think when you're in a position like teaching, coaching, anything in that that type of role, there can be an unconscious thing like, oh, I should not, have any worries or anxieties, or I shouldn't have any of those things. And I think that's totally counterintuitive to how this actually works for me. But to be able to do that for myself, I need my coach. I'm able to do that I have a big capacity for doing that. And I can feel there's a bit which I can't tell what's going on there. And that's where I need the external eyes to be able to go, this is where the voice and the energetics come into that space. And there's the money that flows off the back of that. Like you start to see the two. And so I think feeling like you shouldn't feel like this, or it's a problem if you as a coach have worries. It's like, no, it's actually the other way around. It's the judging of the worries which is causing the problem. Yeah, not the actual worries. The worries are just signaling. They're like a GPS, the next left. Pay attention to where you need to get some clarity, because we're feeling a bit of doubt about something. You'll see what it is at the next left.
Analogy, because that's exactly what it is. Right.
Yeah.
And what you just said is so important, because it's the judgment that really throws us off course. Everyone has worries. Everyone has doubts, no matter what level they're at. It's that when you get to a certain level that I would consider mastery, it's not that you don't have the doubts and that you don't have the worries. You just don't sit in them. You don't think that they're a problem. You know that it's no big deal. And just like you said, it's the GPS. It's signaling you. Where do you need to make? Where do you need to make that turn? Where do you need to go deeper and try to understand something that your guidance system is telling you, right? So it's all part of the process that helps us expand. And I think it's a great point that you brought up, because there are so many people, and I was one of those people, who believe that when you get to a certain level of financial success or any type of success, then the worries all go away. What I'm talking about, though, when I talk about the anxiety, it wasn't just so much the worries, it was like this constant anxiety that something was missing, which to me is different than when we're stretching and we experience a wobble.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So what I'm talking about here, and what you're modeling, is that you can allow yourself to expand, and that constant sense of anxiety goes away. You will still experience the wobbles as you're stretching, as you're raising your prices, as you're working with higher level clients, as you're doing XYZ. But that's it's a different experience than that constant nagging anxiety that so many people experience, right? And so what we've been able to do together is release that. I'm not saying that you had that specifically, but a lot of people have that. So I want to make it clear that there are a lot of people who they pursue the money goal, they get the money goal, but then there's that constant anxiety in the background. There's this void, there's something missing, there's something wrong with me. That goes away. Now we can focus on addressing the wobbles or releasing the resistance when we're going for that next thing that we desire, right? And that to me is a different experience. Again, you know what to do when those wobbles come up. You know not to take it seriously. You know it's not a big deal. You don't beat up on yourself. And then you are able to continue to get the results faster and easier because you stay in alignment with the energy, right? The energy that is calling in what it is that you want to you. So great point that you brought up. Are there any final words? Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we conclude today?
Just to say thank you, Desiree, to you. Yeah, I think, if anyone's listening to this, I think you'll know if you want to do this or not. And if you want to do it, you'll make it happen. And it's been certainly one of the best investments I've ever made in my development as a coach. And I'm sure we'll be working together more in the future. Because it's priceless to have that support that helps you be exactly who you want to be. That is priceless. So thank you.
Thank you. You've been a joy to work with. So it's been a fruitful, mutually beneficial relationship, just so we're clear.
Cool. Thank you.
So how can people get in touch with you?
With me? Yeah, sure. My email, my webpage is angieford.com.au. Or I don't know if people need the www anymore. Obviously, I'm not online. I don't know these things. But on the webpage, there's a contact form, and that's a great way to reach out. And there's a bit more information as well on client testimonials, so you'll be able to see the kind of clients that I work with and the kind of results that they get.
Awesome.
Angie Ford, ANGIEFORD.com.au.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Desiree.